Now, trying to figure what that is. Some of you might have already figured this part out a little bit earlier, but what we could do is actually come back and look at this equation here again. I could re-simplify this out. I could actually divide out an n. So in this case, what I could do is I could see that there's n's and commons here, and have an n and bring that out. But see, if I do 44 divided by n, I would have a 44 minus n squared divided by n would be n. And look, this looks a lot like what we saw before. That 44 is telling us that same perimeter situation. So let's actually try 22 to see what that would be, because it's half of that, remember from what we saw earlier. So if I try here, 22 times 44, 968, minus, and then 22 times 22 equals 484. So if I do, so look at 968 minus 484, hey, it's 484. And that is gonna be the peak. That's gonna be the place where it tops out. So remember we had a couple of questions here. Our questions specifically are what number of rentals produces maximum daily profit, okay? So max daily profit, for the number of rentals, it's 22 rentals in that case. So that's one of our questions. The other question is, what is the maximum profit? Now we need to go back up to our original equation up here. Remember we had this guy up here. Profit equals all of this information. So we have this piece minus that. So we need to go back and work that part out. So what we'll do is we'll come back to what P equals. Remember, P equals this. This is what profit is. And so we bring that equation back over here. So profit is equal to 54 minus n. And what we just realized is that n is 22. So I did 54 minus 22. 54 minus 22. And that's what we would get. Maximum daily profit is equal to $32 in that case. All right, last part. Compare the equation in part 3 to the equation for question A, part 1. So if I look at this, my equation for part 3, here's what we had. We had this, which we also realized it could have been D is equal to n coming out 44 minus n in this case. If I compare this equation to that equation, hey, they're the same equation, just with different letters and for different situations. So we can go far back and look at these equations, actually say these guys are identical. So make sure you see my hands. That was bad, I'm sorry. So that's what we're working on. That's all we had to do for this. So let's take a look at our ACE work. This ACE work specifically for the assignment was numbers 5 through 7. So let's take a look. All right, question number 5. A farmer has 240 meters of fence. The farmer wants to build a rectangular fence that encloses the greatest possible land area. So write an equation for the fenced area A in terms of length. Okay, so that's what we've done. What are the dimensions of the rectangle with the greatest area? Describe how you'd find the information from part B to graph from a graph. Does the equation for an area represent linear, quadratic, or exponential, or none of these? That's pretty straightforward. All right. Number 6, tricky question. Same scenario, but the farmer uses part of a creek as the fence. So now the 240 only covers these parts. Okay, so I want you to write an equation for the fenced area A in terms of length, and then what are the dimensions of the rectangle with the greatest area? Does this equation represent linear, quadratic, or exponential, or none of those? And then number 7, the math club is selling posters to advertise National Algebra Day. The following equation represents the profits P. They're expecting to sell N posters at X dollars each. So here's what you have. P equals X times N minus 6N. So remember, profit, this is their income, this is their expenses. Okay. They also know that the number of posters N sold depends on the selling price, which is represented here. So you have this N is equal 20 minus X. So write an equation for profit in terms of the posters sold. Okay. First solve this. You have to solve this for X. You need to get that 20 out of there. Make it be X equals something over here. What's the profit for 10 posters? So you have that, plug it back in. What's the selling price? What's the greatest profit? All right, I hope that's smooth. Hope that's clear. we'll see you next time.